A 3-0 win for Leeds United over Chelsea at Elland Road. Leeds' first win over Chelsea in 20 years. Did you see that one coming, Janusz?
Well, not that easy, that's for sure. I mean, there's always that hope that at home with that wonderful rivalry, as you mentioned, because it's a massive one, right? I mean, the players and fans don't necessarily love each other, as we all know it. So you always think that with a decent start that Leeds have had under Jesse Marsch, it was a possibility. But to do it that easily, I did not think, because it's not just the result, but I think in general, the way Leeds played in so many aspects of the game, they have outplayed, if maybe outsmarted Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea Football Club. So yeah, obviously a massive result.
And we'll get to praising Leeds in just a moment. But what do you think went wrong for Chelsea today?
Well, I mean, my feeling is that we saw the best of Chelsea against Spurs, at least for 60 minutes or maybe even more last week, right? Because I think with everything that happened with Chelsea, we worried about them a little bit. And for me, the confirmation that they're okay came in last week against Spurs, even though they win it, but they were clearly the better team. And I thought I saw the Chelsea of old, or if you want to say the best after the turmoil and chaos that they've had. And unfortunately, they couldn't follow up with that. And, that's not necessarily surprising. I mean, they've opened up the wallet, they've spent the money, but I think in this one, they were outworked, outsmarted, and Thomas Tuchel really looked lost in this one, didn't he? I mean, we all think of him as this great tactician or a good tactician, which I think he is. We saw that against Spurs and Antonio Conte, and yet today, this was Jesse's team. This was Jesse Marsch's game and the right win.
And of course, they were helped out on that opening goal from that Mendy mistake.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when I say Jesse's team, right, there are no lost causes. It's not in the vocabulary of these players, right? And Brenden Aaronson, who had a tremendous game, went after it as well. I think if you look at Chelsea in this game, remember the 40th second of the game. This is how the game should have been played. Simple, right? And if I remember, Koulibaly long ball, Gallagher to Raheem Sterling, and he's missed that. Remember the offside goal was simple as well. Look, Chelsea, especially away against a team like Leeds that likes to have time to get organized, you can't give them that. Those two examples were simple Chelsea: 1, 2, 3 passes, 1 touch, 2 touch. And this is how you beat Leeds, right? And they didn't do that. They didn't take advantage of those chances. And when you let Jesse, organize himself and start pressing you, you're in trouble.
Was this a bit of an acid test for Leeds United under Jesse Marsch, and one that passed?
Well, look, I mean, it's not always going to be as easy as that. That is for sure. But but if you look at Jesse, right choice, obviously already in terms of Bielsa. We all talk about Bielsa. It's similar in so many ways from Jesse Marsch, but it's less taxing and it's a little bit smarter, right, than Bielsa. It allows the players different positioning, that different system with 2 holding players. It's so much better than that of Bielsa. We're going to talk about Brenden Aaronson today, rightfully so. A good goal, another good performance. Let's not forget, only 21 years old. Did you see that turn on Koulibaly early in the first half? It was unbelievable, really, against an important player that got himself sent off. But I think if you look at Leeds United, for me, just the heart, the work ethic, the discipline, the wanting to win every tackle, every ball is special. And I think we're going to see that continue, but it's not going to be that easy. That's for sure. They're going to get found out from time to time because, in terms of talent, they're not there.
You mentioned Conor Gallagher earlier. How do you think he did today?
Well, he's no N'Golo Kanté. I mean, that is for sure, right? It's a big ask, I suppose, right? You have Jorginho there. I mean, Kovacic is obviously a player that they miss. N'Golo Kanté. If we see N'Golo Kanté like we saw against Spurs, which was, again, I mean, dominating performance in the center of the pitch, I think Chelsea are going to be fine. And they will be in time. But yeah, Conor Gallagher, I think, had big shoes to fill. And unfortunately, it was tough for him. Leeds made it tough for him. Then he got dropped to a 6th position, right? Which is not necessarily his way of playing. But I think by then the game was lost.
Koulibaly's had a range of emotions since coming to Chelsea, hasn't he? Getting sent off today as well.
Yeah, I mean, pure frustration, the pace, and I mean, you saw Gelhardt. I mean, that second one was silly. He got booked with the yellow card early in the game. I thought he stayed disciplined from time to time. He showed his class. Maybe not the sort of strike that we saw against Spurs, obviously, but was trying to start, to play the ball out of the back. Was looking a little bit longer to maybe catch Leeds off guard a little bit, not allow them to settle defensively. It was an indifferent performance and a silly sending off, something that they can't afford, especially in that position. Obviously, there's a reason why he's there, because they're not as strong without Rudiger and Christensen.
So I'm just going to mention the other two goal scorers in this one. Rodrigo scoring for a third consecutive game. It's the first time he's done that since his Valencia days. You've got Harrison in there as well in the second half. And I just want to end it on this one with a tale of two clubs, actually, Janusz. The fact that Leeds United were continuing to put players forward, continuing to still commit in that second half, even though they had a 2-0 lead. What does that say about Leeds United? What does that tell us about Chelsea?
Well, I think in terms of Leeds United, I think Jesse Marsch felt strongly in that particular time that he had Chelsea on the ropes. And it's a good message to players. It's not the message that he's going to send all the time, right? He's smart enough to know that sometimes with a lead, you have to be careful. But I think, like all of us, I hope, we saw that Chelsea wasn't going to do anything, right? Chelsea continues to have the same problem. And this is going back to Chelsea. Now, we've been talking about the lack of goal scorers for a long, long time. And it's true, no matter what you say, and even if you see a good Chelsea performance in the near future with a couple goals here or there, they absolutely need it. There's nobody there to score. Sterling doesn't have a goal yet. I think he will come good, but we all know that Raheem Sterling is not out and out goal scorer. One that's so clean like Benzema or Lewandowski. That's not his game, not his fault, right? Kai Havertz, we all knew that he wasn't a number 9. He continues to prove that, right? Nowhere near scoring a goal in there. Mason Mount's not playing well. He's not a striker as well. Should I go on? Look, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, absolutely. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if it ends there. I don't know if that's enough, because I still am not 100% sure that Aubameyang is going to be the final answer to this puzzle for Chelsea United. So look, I mean, you look at Chelsea, 3 games, 3 goals. Koulibaly with a wonder. He's not going to be scoring those goals. So there is an issue. I think we tiptoe around that as fans, as pundits sometimes, because we know that at any given moment it can come good. But I look at this Chelsea Football Club and I just don't see any goal scorers on it. Maybe Sterling's going to prove me wrong, but it's still not going to be a 20 goal a season performance in the Premier League, and that's what they need.
Yeah, so some work to do and some thinking to do for Chelsea, but they were beaten today by a Leeds side with a big American flavour to it.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.